Underfoot, The Gutter King, Book 1, Chapter 4, The Warren of Grey Mara. The wall that wasn't open like a secret being reluctantly told. Two stones pivoted on greased pins. A gap exhaled warm air that smelled of smoke and bodies and boiled roots. And Ben was ushered through at the spear point into the last thing he expected to find at the bottom of the world. A home. The Warren of Grey Mara was one long vaulted chamber and a dozen burrowed side rooms, lit by tallow dips and channels of cultivated glow moss that someone tended like window boxes. Laundry lines of mended cloth crossed overhead. A cook pit breathed root and bone steam under a chimney crack that must have wandered up through 40 feet of masonry to some alley grate in the city above. He counted, without meaning to, the way he counted exits and oxygen bottles. Perhaps 40 souls. Elders by the fire with drop spindles, a knot of kits who froze mid-game to stare. Every eye in the place turned to him, and every gaze had the same weight in it. Not curiosity, arithmetic. What does the stranger cost? The spears walked him down the center of it all, and the whispers followed. Warrenless. Warrenless. A word that traveled like a draft. Then something small and fast hit the escort from the side. It was a kit, maybe 8, all ears and elbows, with a chipped front tooth and fur sticking up in 7 directions, and he planted himself directly in Ben's path with the fearlessness of someone who had not yet been told anything true about the world.
Are you the Warrenless? Marta says you came out of the tide. Nobody comes out of the tide. Did you die? You smell like dog. Why do you smell like dog? Is it a dead dog? Did you kill a...
Nib.
Grey Mara's voice from behind without heat.
Off.
The kit, Nib, removed himself from Ben's path by a distance of perhaps 4 inches, which was apparently the exact legal minimum, and walked sideways the rest of the way through the Warren so as not to lose line of sight on the most interesting thing that had ever happened to him. Ben decided, in defiance of all operational caution, that he liked this place.
Table.
He said to the room in general.
Light. Boiled water if you have it. His rib wants setting, and I want it done before the fever peaks.
Nobody moved. 40 pairs of eyes went to Mara. Mara looked at Ben for a long moment, and then at Rill's splint, at the neat wire lashing and the moss packing and the young one alive inside it all. And something in her face shifted one notch, from threat assessment toward inventory.
Long table.
She said.
Clear it. Essa, water on. Tusk.
And here a shadow detached itself from the wall and kept detaching, more and more of it, until it resolved into the largest ratkin Ben had seen, a head taller than any other in the room, one ear gone to an old scar, shoulders like a coal shed.
Watch the stranger's hands.
Tusk positioned himself across the table and watched Ben's hands. It was like being supervised by an eclipse. The work steadied him the way work always had. Rill's splint had held through 6 hours of dragging, which Ben chose to take as a co-authored achievement, and the rib beneath was cracked but seated. It needed truing and a proper wrap, hot compresses for the swelling, and the fever needed willow work or whatever this world used instead. He talked while he worked, to Rill mostly, the old patter, "You're doing great, rude part coming, breathe small," and the Warren listened and he let it. Let them see the slow hands. A stranger who works on your wounded in good light is running the only audition that matters.
Bitter bark.
He said at one point to the room, holding up the twist of dried leaves from Rill's sealed pouch. His nose had already sorted the pharmacy shelf. This one clean, bitter, cousin to something he'd have drawn into a syringe in another life.
Does someone brew this for fever? Weak, not strong. Strong makes the heart gallop.
Silence. Then Granny Sorrel, eldest of the fire circle, a bent old doe with cataract-clouded eyes and a face like a walnut that had won every argument it had ever been in, said as if the words were being pulled out of her by a hook.
Half a thumb to a kettle, not more. Mender Art used to say the same about the gallop.
A pause.
Mender Art is on a catcher's belt since spring.
So there it was, the vacancy. Ben felt the shape of it settle around his shoulders and did not argue with it. The rib went true with a small, terrible sound and a smaller yelp. The rap went on. The bitter bark went into a kettle in Granny Sorrel's hands. She measured half a thumb with the muscle memory of decades and glared at Ben as if daring him to comment. And Rill, exhausted, feverish, splinted, and safe behind the only wall he trusted in the world, started to cry. Not from the pain. Ben saw the reason arrive. A skinny adolescent ratkin, one ear freshly torn and crusted, shoving through the crowd with his tail still bandaged from some escape of his own.
Seth?
Rill said, in a voice like a dropped plate, and then the two of them were a tangle of thin arms, and Ben stepped back from the table to let the reunion have its light.
Snare took him and I ran.
Seth was saying into Rill's shoulder over and over, a confession worn smooth with repeating,
I ran. I ran to Mara's like the rule. I ran.
It's the rule.
Rill said fierce, muffled.
You ran right.
Ben, packing wire and bone splinters back into his stolen pouches, with hands that were suddenly clumsy, discovered he had something in both eyes. Tusk watched him have it. Tusk's expression did not change, but he looked at Ben's wet eyes and then at Ben's slow hands and some ledger of his own, quietly turned a page. The kettle, when it came to him, was everything he had been promised by the ancient sacred tradition of tea after catastrophe. He'd have called the leaves floor sweepings in his old life. He drank 3 cups and considered proposing marriage to the pot. Mara let him get through 2 of them before the interrogation. They sat in her burrow off the main chamber, a room the size of an ambulance interior, walls shelved floor to ceiling with the true wealth of the underworld, cured leather, coiled wire, dried herbs and labeled twists, and a single iron-bound book so old its cover had gone the color of the dark. Tusk filled the doorway behind him, less a guard than a geological feature.
Rill vouches with his life.
Mara said without preamble.
The life you carried here, that buys the asking, not the answer. So?
She set her cup down.
What are you?
Snare sick.
Ben said.
Wire got my memory. I woke in the tide with slow hands and scribe talk and not much else.
Mara's clouded amber eyes didn't blink.
That's Rill's story. He needs it true, so for him it's true. I need things to be true for 40.
She leaned forward.
Snare sick forget names. Their own, their kits. They don't forget what a splint costs. They don't invent a word for choosing who bleeds and teach it to my trapper's apprentice like a catechism. And they do not.
She said softer now, which was worse.
Smell of nothing. Every warren leaves a smell in the fur. Every one. You smell like rain on stone, stranger. You smell like nowhere at all.
The tallow dip fluttered. Somewhere out in the main chamber, Nib was audibly being prevented from listening at the curtain. Ben set his own cup down. He thought about the truth, the whole impossible weight of it, and about the green text that hung its secrets only where he could see, and about triage, which is the art of what you can afford right now.
You're right.
He said.
The snare story is Rill's. Here's mine. I don't know what I am anymore. I know what I was, a healer, somewhere you've no map to, a place I can't get back to. Something happened to me that I don't understand, and I woke in your tide with my old hands and none of my old world. Everything else, the covenant, the catchers, the price of a candle, I'm learning like a kit. That's the truest thing I can afford to tell you, and I'll understand if it's not enough.
Silence went long. Mara studied him the way she'd studied the splint. Workmanship first, intention second.
A healer from nowhere.
She said at last.
Covenant marked, warren smell of nothing, who reads fever bark by nose and walks back down into a cull pit for a stranger's kit.
She rose, joints cracking like knuckles, and took the iron-bound book from its shelf and set it on the table between them with a thump that raised dust.
Mender oughts, receipts, simples, dosings. 40 years of the gutter's medicine in a dead doe's hand. There's no one left here who can read it.
She pushed it an inch toward him.
Purge week is coming. The catchers smoke the south pits within days. Rill's word, and I believe it. I have 40 souls, 6 spears, no mender, and now a stranger the covenant dropped in my tide like a riddle.
Her ragged ear twitched.
So here's Warren Law, softened once because I am old and the times are wicked. You stay while the boy heals. You work, mend, haul, earn your smoke and soup. Tusk shadows you. You go past the blue moss without my word, or my people start forgetting things they shouldn't, and Tusk will finish the catcher's arithmetic himself. When Rill walks without the splint, we talk again, earn or leave.
Ben put his hand flat on the dead mender's book. 40 years of receipts, a door, opening the width of a ledger.
I'll want an assistant.
He said.
Someone with too much energy and no fear of blood.
From directly behind the curtain, instantly,
Me!
Nip.
said Mara and Ben together in identical tones. And for one unguarded half-second, the old doe almost smiled. They gave him a sleeping shelf near the cook pit, the warmth of it a kindness he noted and did not comment on, and the warren settled around him into its night sounds. Banked embers, a kit's cough he'd already flagged for morning, the spindle whisper of an elder who apparently did not sleep, Tusk arranging himself against the nearest pillar with the finality of a monument being installed.
You sleep with your eyes open, warrenless.
Nib, of course, upside down over the edge of the shelf above, unkillable.
Marta says the warrenless sleep with their eyes open 'cause they got no wall to trust. Do you? Is it true you gave the Covenant 9 maggots? Seth says you gave it 9 maggots and it dinged you. Did it really?
Nib.
Off.
Nib finished, sighing, vanishing. Ben lay back on the shelf. 40 souls breathing in the dark around him, one wall between all of them, and a world with a quota. Somewhere south, catchers were coiling wire and stacking smoke pots. Somewhere above, a man named Hob Vance was reading a report about a clever killer in the pits. He closed his eyes, and only then, in the last private dark before sleep, did he finally open the notice he had been ignoring since a spear first touched his throat. The one that had bloomed unbidden in the moment he'd decided a locked door was worth more than his own safe skin. It was not like the other notices. The text came slow, and it did not glow green. It glowed the deep banked red of embers, and it read,
Deed witnessed, he went back down. The Covenant assigns this no value. Someone else was watching. Someone else disagrees.
The text faded and would not return, no matter how he prodded the dark where it had been. Ben Mercer, mender on probation of the Warren of Grey Mara, lay very still on his borrowed shelf, listening to 40 strangers breathe behind one thin wall, and understood that somewhere beneath the bottom of the world, something had just learned his name.
Okay,
He whispered to whatever it was.
but I charge for house calls.
Far off in the dark under the dark, too deep for anything but Bone to hear it, something laughed.